Right here, straight off Merimbula, chasing yellowfin again. Double hook up.
Well, there are still yellowfin around. The general size of fish has gone down slightly and they are on the move, but there are still plenty around. G'day guys, Jamari here with this week's Boss Outdoor Fishing Report. So the yellowfin are finally on the move. September 2025 was one of the best yellowfin bites we've seen, possibly in the last 30 years. It was absolutely phenomenal. They did stay out the front of that sort of Bermagui, Narooma, and even further north up towards Ulladulla, that kind of stretch for quite a long time. They're finally moving south, so there's a bunch of warm water pushing them down, sort of squeezing them into a narrow pathway inside the shelf, and they're all funneling through. We had them out the front of Tathra a few days ago, out the front of Merimbula yesterday and the day before, and then today we've got reports they're in front of Eden, so they are moving down the coast quite quickly. That cold pocket of water that they were in up near Burmy has moved down in front of Green Cape now, so they are on the move. Who knows where they'll stop or if they'll come back, but still good numbers of fish around. If you are looking to get out maybe this weekend or later in the week, it's still definitely worth a fish. You might intercept some that are still moving down from way up the coast, so still worth a crack. So Leaf actually launched out of Eden today. He's still on the water right now as I'm speaking, so we'll shoot straight to him for an on the water report.
I'm just stuck in some pretty treacherous conditions right now, mate. I might get back to you with that fishing report. This southerly's come right up. We've still got that northerly swell. It's rough as out here.
Well, thanks Leaf. It looks like you might be in for a little bit of a slow ride home there. Apart from yellowfin fishing, if you don't have a boat and are still looking to get in on some action, the estuary fishing this week has really started to fire up. We've had a few warmer days, and like I mentioned last week, those flathead have really started to get up in the shallows and hunt mullet on the flats. They look for that warmer, sort of the shallower areas where the sun hits so they can warm themselves, a little bit like a lizard. That's why they get the nickname. Some good catches have come out of the top lake and also the Bega River down towards that front flat there at Mogarika. Some better sized fish too, up towards 60 centimetres, and some even a little bit better, so it's well worth a crack at a decent flathead, and this is the time of year to get after a big one, that sort of spring, early summer.
Couple of good flatties up in the top lake.
So aside from flathead in the estuaries, we have seen good numbers of trevally starting to filter in, specifically to the Merimbula system here, swimming up on an incoming tide up into the top lake and starting to filter back down on the outgoing. Ando's been getting stuck into a few trevally and flathead up in the top lake, so that's real good to see. Not huge fish yet, sort of that 20 to 30, pushing 40 centimetres at the biggest sort of size for your trevally, but perfect eating size, and they do pull really hard for their size, so that's a fun species to target. So another species that's really starting to perk up in the estuaries is bream. The bream fishing through winter has been relatively slow this year. However, there was a hire boat that we did this morning and they came back with actually quite a decent sized yellowfin bream from the top lake. So the yellowfin, as the water starts to heat up, they all should start to filter into the system, and the front racks down here should start to fish really well. So along with your bream, flathead and trevally, there is always the chance of the elusive mulloway in the estuary system. They generally are pretty quiet this time of year, but there's always a chance, and on light bream gear can be a little bit iffy whether you're going to land it or not, but great fun to hook.
I got a massive dewie. This is going to spool me. Oh my god.
So the beach fishing this week has been relatively consistent, similar to last week. Still some good sized salmon around on the beaches. As always, look for that gutter on the inside edge of a sandbank. We've got a breaking wave falling into deeper water. Underneath that wash as it falls into the deeper water, that's where they'll all hunt. Still some tailor around as well. And on the headlands and wharves, there are a few small kingfish starting to get around. And as the water warms up, we should only see more of them, so that's quite exciting. No big fish yet, but with that species, if the small ones are here, the big ones can't be too far behind. Well, since starting the report this morning, the wind's had a full change. That southerly Leaf was talking about has reached us. Let's check back in with him and see how he's doing.
So we just got into the protection of Quarantine Bay. Way calmer in here. We had a bit of a rough run in. We probably should have kept a better eye on the weather and headed in an hour or two earlier, I would have saved just hit a few of those waves on the way back in. But we've come back from another successful day trying to catch yellowfin tuna. The fish have been way spread out. They've pushed further to the south. We're just coming into Eden now, and we got the fish just south of Eden out on the shelf again today. The stick baits, we've pretty well packed them up at the moment. We're just trolling lures around. They're not hitting the surface like they were a week or two ago. I'm sure you're still getting the odd chance here and there if you're committed to that sort of fishing. But I think the best bet at the moment is just to tow some lures around, cover some more ground. And we've just been plucking the fish out of nowhere, really. Most of them are coming that 250 metres of water range. So yeah, that'll be my tip if you're heading out this weekend, is to just get onto that shelf, zigzag the shelf, and tow some lures around. You'll probably come up tight with some fish. Has been an amazing week again, catching yellowfin tuna. The bite off Merimbula was spectacular over the weekend, and then since the weekend they've moved a bit further south, down off Eden now. So yeah, probably coming to the end of what has been just an absolute spectacular run. So if you've got a chance this weekend, get out there and chase those yellowfin.
Well, if you are thinking of heading offshore this weekend, guys, the weekend's looking a little bit iffy. The morning is definitely fishable, but up to about 12 o'clock, and then the afternoons are actually, the wind does come up quite a bit. So just pick your window, stay safe. That's all for this week's Boss Outdoor Fishing Report, guys. If there's anything else you need to know, whether it's fishing, camping, or anything else outdoors, come in store, see the boys so we can hook you up.